Can I have my license? It's in your pocket.
You put it in your pocket.
This is Braden, a blue-collar guy who saw a state trooper violating the traffic laws in his small town of Rigby, Idaho. He's considering making a complaint because it's a double standard. He snaps 2 photos of the cruiser so that he could ID the officer for a complaint. But then the officer stops and detains him, accusing him of being a possible terrorist. Forces him under threat of arrest to provide his ID, openly hoping that he had a warrant.
Your license. Why? Because I asked you for it. I want to make sure you're not a terrorist. If you have a warrant, I'm taking your ass to jail. So give me your identification.
He then looks for his vehicle, hoping to find a reason, any reason, to take Braden to jail.
What car are you guys? White man back there? Oh, now we don't want to answer questions, huh? That's cute. No fucking cute.
Him walking away the first time was to run the plate on that particular vehicle, which wasn't my vehicle. I assumed to get anything on me.
When this Second Amendment-loving trooper finds out that Braden has a concealed weapon permit,
You have a firearm on you? I don't answer questions. Okay, turn on.
he harasses him further, putting his hands behind his back and generously frisking Braden. Again, almost hoping for any reason to escalate the situation.
So you can look in my vehicle, and I can't look in yours? Correct.
Fortunately, Braden had a dash cam that captured the trooper's driving, and additionally, there was a good cop there who documented with his body cam this trooper's open and defiant retaliation against a citizen exercising his First Amendment right to document police misconduct. Like, what was the first thing that happened here? Like, you're just driving, and what happened?
So I had stopped at our local hardware store to grab some stuff. I was on my way home. He ends up pulling up right next to me. We're both in the front of the line at the stoplight. Light turns green. That road is 25 miles per hour. I hit 25 and he's still pulling away. And it really wasn't a big deal. And then the next stoplight, we both stop and he attempts to perform a right on red, though he didn't come to a full complete stop. And so he ran that, and I have that on video. I probably wouldn't even have done anything with it. And so I was in a straight lane, and I kind of look over, and I see him turn into the alley that the Rigby PD uses as a parking lot. But he goes in from the wrong side that has some do not enter traffic signs. And so I pulled around the corner to the back of the PD, which is completely public. And I was just going to take a picture. Probably 99% chance I wasn't going to do anything about it because those traffic violations weren't a huge deal. I hopped out and just took those 2 quick pictures. And I was going to get a clearer one, but he started having issues.
So what was the first thing that happened? Did he say something to you? Did you say something to him?
No, he said something to me. He asked me what I was doing. I can't remember exactly what happened. I think I might have said something like I'm taking pictures. At that point, I knew just his tone, I knew he was going to be trouble.
Did you tell him the reason that you were taking pictures?
I did. He more or less dismissed that, made the issue into the fact that I had taken a picture through his window into the cab of the vehicle.
So, to the best that you can recall, what was said before we can hear audio on the body cam?
He really only said 2 things the whole time before that. 1, demanding to know what I'm doing, and 2, demanding ID.
Question, please. Yes. What's up? We're on your post. Your license. Why? Because I asked you for it.
Jay, for information, I'll be with an individual beyond the PD with ISP.
It was pretty clear I was detained because he stepped right in front of me, and every time I made even the smallest move to be on my way, he would immediately step in front of me.
I want to make sure you're not a terrorist, you're not affecting me, life partners, anything like that. If you have a warrant, I'm taking your ass to jail. So give me your identification.
And ultimately, you, under threat of arrest, you did provide him your ID.
Yeah, because I I'm a blue collar guy. I work on cars for a living, and I had work the next morning. I wasn't going to risk getting arrested and potentially losing my job, or them charging me with some BS charge and me having to take time out of my work day to fight for my freedom.
Do you want to be detained? Do you want to go to jail? No. Give me identification. Stop. No.
Are you going to arrest me if I don't?
Yes. Control. Checks this.
The first thing to look at is what sort of encounter is this? There are generally three sorts of police-citizen encounters. A consensual encounter, where the citizen is free to leave. A Terry stop, also called an investigatory detention, where you are not free to leave, but the officer must have reasonable suspicion. Or an arrest where the officer must have probable cause. There was no traffic stop here. Braden is a pedestrian, so the issue is whether or not this is a consensual encounter where the Fourth Amendment is not implicated, or whether it's actually a detention, aka Terry stop. So how do we know the difference? Police may approach somebody in a consensual encounter and ask for ID, but Braden would be free to refuse and walk away unless he was detained, which requires reasonable suspicion. Braden can confirm whether or not he is detained by asking, "Am I free to go?" If the answer is yes, then he has no obligation to provide ID or to remain. Here, Trooper Wilson made it clear that Braden was not free to leave.
Do you want to go to jail? No. Give me identification. Stop. No.
Are you going to arrest me if I don't?
Yes.
Therefore, he had to have had reasonable suspicion in order for this to be a lawful detention. So what is reasonable suspicion? For a lawful Terry stop, an officer needs specific objective facts, not just a hunch, indicating that a crime or violation has occurred. An officer must be able to clearly explain observable evidence that justifies the stop. No hunches are allowed. Vague feelings or unsupported intuition, i.e., looks suspicious, is not allowed. Here, all that occurred was that Braden took 2 photographs of a parked and running police cruiser, which he informed the officer was for the purposes of making a complaint about his traffic violations. I'm aware of no Idaho law which criminalizes that conduct, but to the contrary, courts have broadly recognized a First Amendment right to photograph or record law enforcement vehicles and activities in public view as part of our right to document government officials and operations. This would include police cruisers visible in public areas, as they are matters of public interest and symbols of official duty. In other words, there was no indication here to Trooper Wilson that any crime at all had occurred, that any violation at all had occurred. Instead, he only observed Braden engaging in protected First Amendment free speech, which he didn't like because it was critical of him, but that's not enough to satisfy the reasonable suspicion standard. At some point during the video, the trooper walks away from you. What was he doing?
So the first time he walks away, he asks me what vehicle I'm driving.
What car are you driving? White van back there?
And at that point, I'm remaining silent and not answering questions. And he says something to the effect of, "Is it that white van over there?" Which wasn't my vehicle.
Oh, now we don't want to answer questions, huh? That's cute. So fucking cute.
But him walking away the first time was him stomping over there to run the plate on that particular vehicle to see if he could get any, I assumed, to get anything on me.
I hope you realize this is illegal.
So as Trooper Freddie Mercury is waiting on dispatch to get back to him on Braden's criminal history or lack thereof and whether or not he has any outstanding warrants, so he's looking around for Braden's vehicle. If he had one there, he didn't know, because presumably he wants to find any additional violations, any additional reasons he can to jam Braden up, to cause him problems, to retaliate against him for being critical of him, for wanting to file a complaint against him. As the trooper is doing this, Braden turns and begins talking to another police officer. Now, this guy is not a state trooper. He is apparently an officer with the Rigby Police Department. And as you'll see, this guy is the good cop in this story. It seems like he notices what the trooper is doing, and he's the one who turns on his body cam and he documents the violations of the trooper. Because the trooper himself, as he's doing this, he's recording nothing. He's documenting nothing. It was this Rigby police officer.
Can't just demand ID just because of warrants.
I don't know what's going on. What did he tell you he's identifying you for?
Taking a picture.
Oh, okay.
Last I checked, that's First Amendment, even if it's inside the vehicle.
Okay.
Real cute. It's gonna be a pet stop. So you are more than welcome to call and file a complaint with Braden, but you're not going to walk up and take a picture inside of my car. How would you feel if I did that to you? If roles are reversed,
Plain view doctrine.
that's different.
It's not this. So
I got you.
you can look in my vehicle and I can't look in yours.
Correct. Because I have documents on my computer.
Trooper Wilson complains to Braden that this whole thing, this whole detention, all of this harassment is because he's pissed off that Braden was taking pictures of his police car, specifically pictures through the window of his car. And Braden has a great response to that. Like, wait a minute, what about the plain view doctrine? And that is exactly right. This is the bed that our government has made, and they don't want to sleep in it. So what is the plain view doctrine? There was a U.S. Supreme Court case from 1983, Texas versus Brown, which had to do with plain view doctrine. The holding in that case was that police officers did not violate the Fourth Amendment by leaning over and shining a flashlight into the interior of somebody's car at a vehicle checkpoint in public where they observed and seized a balloon from inside this car that contained drugs. And the reasoning for that, the court held, is that there is no legitimate expectation of privacy shielding the interior of an automobile, which may be viewed from outside the vehicle by either inquisitive passerbys or diligent police officers. So according to Captain America here, we can't look inside his car because it's a police car.
So you can look in my vehicle and I can't look in yours.
Yet the police all day long across the country claim the right to look into our cars and even seize contraband from our cars if they can see it because they're in a public place and you don't have any legitimate expectation of privacy. It was a double standard that started this whole thing. And here again, Captain America demonstrates that he thinks because he's a government employee, a cop, that he gets to live by a different set of laws than the rest of us. But he doesn't. Apparently, it takes quite a long time in Idaho for dispatch to give back to a police officer after running somebody's ID. So as this detention is ongoing, Trooper Wilson then leaves a second time, this time going into his police cruiser, doing something mysterious. And what about the second time?
The second time, I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. He got in his patrol car. I wonder if he wasn't trying to find some law that he could get me on for taking the pictures.
And during that time period, there's additional conversation between Braden and this Rigby police officer.
Parkinson?
Corporal Parkinson, yeah. I'm with the Rigby police, yeah. Yeah, I only stepped outside because you guys were having a conversation. Just wanted to figure out what was going on, get it on body camera, so that's all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
From my experience, Rigby's pretty good.
Yeah,
At least ever since they got rid of WD.
yeah.
I'm not going to...
No, you're good. That's okay.
I'm not going to ask your permission, or your...
Stance on it, if you will. Yeah, it's all good.
But,
usually when I see you around, you usually got like a gun slung or something. I just leave you be because it's not illegal to carry a gun around town.
Awesome. I appreciate
It's
it.
your Second Amendment right, and I'm all for it.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely.
I just wish officers would respect the First Amendment.
Gotcha. Yeah, I won't make any comments for what's going on because I'm not sure what he's stopping you for based off of what you told me. Or
I walked over to his car
Yeah.
and took a picture.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna let him handle it and his superiors handle it because
That's fair.
they're way like there's like there's like police, sheriffs, and then like the Idaho State Police. They're way above me, so I don't want to step on any toes by stepping in.
Right.
Anyway, so part of why I stepped out here was just like, I'm just gonna get a distance recording back.
Is your body cam on?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I can when I go back in after this incident, I'll create an incident for you, and your name will be attached to it, so you can come in and put in a records request for it later.
Perfect. Thank you. I would love it, just in case he does something stupid and I have to go to a lawyer.
Completely understandable.
Braden is standing there talking to this other police officer and has been doing that for, I don't know, 10 minutes at least, standing in that location. He's not under arrest. He has not been in handcuffs. But now Trooper Wilson, he's over there in his police car and he's received the criminal history information back on Braden, indicating that he has no relevant criminal history, indicating that he's armed or dangerous or has a warrant that he can arrest him for. But what Trooper Wilson does apparently find out, a little nugget of information that is useful to him in his quest to harass Braden in any manner available to him. He finds out that Braden has a concealed weapons permit. He was not actually carrying a weapon, but again, this is Captain America, Mr. Second Amendment here. He respects constitutional rights so much, he respects the Second Amendment so much that he is going to use that concealed weapon permit against Braden. And so he's going to walk back up to him and ask him if he is concealed carrying. Braden is sitting there conversing with this Rigby police officer who has seen Braden around and knows that Braden has a concealed carry permit and knows that Braden carries, and actually expresses that he respects that fact and further expresses his respect for Braden's Second Amendment rights. Let's contrast that with Captain America over here, who uses this as an opportunity to now put his hands on Braden and frisk him and see if he can turn up anything useful, which, by the way, is called a Terry frisk and is only allowed where there's information available to the officer that the subject is armed and dangerous. Other than the existence of the permit, there's no information indicating that Braden is armed, and there's no information indicating that he's dangerous. So I believe this is an additional Fourth Amendment violation as well.
You have a firearm on you?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, turn him.
I was not carrying at the time, but he asked me if I was carrying, and I refused to answer. And at that point, he just grabbed my arms and put them behind my back and just kind of like held my wrists together as he patted me down.
And it kind of looked like he was getting a little touchy with his frisk with you. Like perhaps he was enjoying it a little too much.
I mean, yeah, he was jerking me around fairly good. And this is just my personal opinion. I kind of wondered if he was jerking me around, trying to get me to tense up, and so he could use more force on me.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
Get out of here. So after he got done frisking me, and it was weird, he didn't even like hand me back my ID. He just picked a pocket and shoved it in there. But after he got done doing that, he marched away and told me to get out of there. And I didn't realize he had put my ID in just a random pocket. I was like, hey, where's my ID? Or can I have my ID back? And he's like, it's in your pocket.
Can I have my license? It's in your pocket.
You put it in your pocket.
Gas. Hey, it was good talking to you.
Absolutely. I'll create an incident. You can come in tomorrow. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Have a good night, okay?
After this happened, did you end up filing any sort of complaint?
Yeah, I filed a complaint with his supervisor, and I've talked to her 2 or 3 times. She mostly was just clarifying some things that I had said in the complaint.
And have you heard anything back?
No, I haven't heard anything back yet.
Do you know where he is based out of? Is it Rigby?
Well, the district office is in Idaho Falls.
And that's it. That's the video. And you may not think that this is that big of a deal, but it is, and here's why. Constitutional rights are always a slippery slope. We always have to protect our First Amendment rights to complain about government employees engaging in misconduct. What's so important here is not that Trooper Dakota Wilson was speeding, not that he did not come to a complete stop, even though you know that he has pulled us over for those same violations and tossed our cars going on a fishing expedition based on those same reasons. What is really important here is that Trooper Dakota Wilson of the Idaho State Police observed a citizen engaging in the protected free speech of criticizing him and made the conscious choice to violate his oath to uphold the Constitution, and instead of allowing that man to engage in free speech, instead, under threat of arrest, detained him, went on a fishing expedition with his ID, with his criminal history, looked for his vehicle so that he could continue that fishing expedition, frisked him looking for a gun or whatever else he could find, insulted him, cursed at him, all because he dared be critical of a police officer. No, it's about much more than what you really see in this video. It's about the exposure of an actual bad apple. Because if he will abuse his authority to stop somebody from criticizing or complaining about him, what else is he capable of? And thank you to the Rigby police officer who was there to document this bad apple. I will put below a link to the relevant authorities with the Idaho State Police, as well as a link to the official complaint form if these are your public servants and you are so inclined. Please let me know in a comment what you think, or if you think I'm off base, or if I missed something. If I hear anything else, I'll update. You can follow along by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. You can follow me on X at JohnBryanESQ. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.